I'm a paralegal, and I feel like the first gentleman felt, I don't want to be there in the corporate environment. All of my life I've had difficulty holding jobs because I have this
freedom-seeking quality that is pulsing from the very...
Yes.
But when you discover your freedom to choose the disc and the leverage that it provides you, you won't be too picky about where you're standing, because you will understand you can control each and every environment in which you participate.
Okay.
It's your lack of freedom that you assign yourself because of your lack of control, which you just haven't practiced. And it's because you and almost everybody else you know has been approaching life after the manifestation instead of before. In other words, most people spend most of their time looking at piles of manifestation and evaluating them.
Okay.
And in the evaluation process, you choose all kinds of discs that you don't want, where if you could get out ahead of the manifestation, that's what we're talking about here. Pick a disc, pick a vibration, pre-manifestation. Today, this is the disc I'm on because I said so. And because I've practiced it, and so it's easy for me to stay there and to be it, mean it, and stay there. And now, let's just see what manifestations will ensue as a result of selecting this. And the first day, you might make it through breakfast. Maybe not that far. But after you go for it the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day, before you know it, you'll have some pretty good momentum going. And then to watch what happens as a result of deliberately choosing your core grid, your vibrational stance, your point of attraction. I'm picking a disc and watching what happens.
So it's freedom that I'm after.
Freedom is what you've got. You're so free you can choose any disc.
But I just don't know it.
You're free to choose any disc. But momentum makes you not know you're free. People say, Abraham, doesn't feel like I'm thinking my thoughts. It feels like they're thinking me. Mm. Well, that's because you haven't been getting out ahead of it. You're responding to what you're observing. So you observe it and you offer a vibration. You offer a vibration, more comes, which you observe, which causes you to offer vibration, which causes more to come, which you observe. And so there's that momentum cycle. But any of you can break out of it anytime you choose to. You're free to choose. We would like to make a very clear statement. It's easier to exercise your freedom in the early stages of momentum. And when you're in an occupation where there has been long-standing pushing against, there's some momentum going. But it's not momentum that you can't override. In other words, in all fields, in all endeavors, in everything that you do, there are layers of vibrational frequencies. And if you'll just choose your frequency and then go to work, choose your frequency and then go to work, choose your frequency, then write the letter, choose your frequency and then choose your frequency, and then you'll begin to notice everything that matters to you conforming to your frequency. Where most of you are picking a frequency without realizing it, and then the law of attraction is causing the conforming to that frequency, and then you feel not free because you said, I didn't choose this stuff. And we say, yes you did. No I didn't. Yes you did. No I didn't. Well, you chose it vibrationally. Well, I don't want to hear that crap, Abraham. I want to talk about vibration. I want to talk about what's happening to me. And we say, what's happening to you is because of the vibration that you're choosing. Well, how do I know? How do I know? We say there's two ways you can tell what disc you're choosing. There's two ways. By how you feel when you choose it, and by what manifests because you chose it.
So it requires a lot of consciousness.
It requires some consciousness.
And self-discipline.
It requires some caring about how you feel. We would use the word focus rather than discipline. Because discipline is like trying to hold back the momentum that I've already established. So many people are using their effort and their discipline to overcome their sloppy choosing of discs. And when you start deliberately choosing discs, then you don't have to use effort and discipline to overcome what you've chosen vibrationally. The universe just says, here. Esther's laughing the other day because she chose a disc that didn't feel that good, and she actually heard the universe say, oh, you don't like that? Here's some more. There's lots more where that came from.
So it's choosing an attitude.
Say again?
Choosing an attitude.
Yeah, caring about how you feel. That's a good way. I'm going to choose my mood. What mood? It's first thing in the morning. What mood? I'm going to be sullen. No. No. I'm going to be overwhelmed. That's familiar. I'm going to be hateful. No, not so much. Early on, they're your options. Hateful, overwhelmed, revengeful, fearful, hopeful, eager, enthusiastic, loving, appreciative, happy, high-flying, low-flying. In other words, you can use whatever words you know what they feel like. You get to choose, but you got to choose early. So you choose early, and then your kids wake up, Go live with grandma. But as you choose more and more, as you deliberately choose more and more, then it's just easier. You gain momentum on that. It just gets easier and easier and easier. Until in time, you've given so little airtime to those things that don't feel so good, because you really only have a handful of issues that are causing you to repetitively believe. And now, perhaps we should put it on the disclaimer that you sign that says that this will be videotaped and that your voice may be recorded and so forth. You can't go back. Once you know this stuff, you'll never again feel any kind of emotion and not know that you've chosen some disc. And then for a while, you'll be standing by waiting for the manifestation of it. And as the manifestation never betrays you, because the law of attraction never gets squirrely on you. It always gives you exactly back the frequency that you're putting out. In time, you'll gain deliberate, conscious, joyous control of your vibrational output. And when you do, now you've got deliberate, joyous, conscious control of what comes back to you. And people will be watching you and they'll say, how is it that everything always works out for you? And if you're very wise, you'll say everything always works out for all of us. It's always working out for us. It's giving us exactly the disc that we are positioning ourselves on and practicing. And you know that. Think about the people that you know. You know them. You could almost name the people that you know that you're up close to, and you could identify the disc that they hang out on. And the fact that you know them well means that you're on there with them.
One more question. In one of your sessions, you talked to a man
Get in there just a little bit. Yeah.
in Philadelphia who had cancer. And you told him that he needed to align with who he really is. And you also said that it would be difficult for him because he had really wanted. Can you give me more on who we really are and why is it difficult?
When we say that, here's what we mean. So you go through your day and you know what you don't want and you know what you do want, and this is creating who you really are. Every time you process anything and come to a personal preference about it, and you're doing it even on cellular levels, you're launching these rockets which are causing an evolution of your species, an evolution of your consciousness, an evolution of all that you have anything to do with. And that's who you really are. Now we're not pointing there anymore. We're saying that's who you really are on that high-flying disc. And so in order to allow, once life has caused you to be that larger part of you to be that, then you have more of a, responsibility is not the right word, but it serves you better and better to keep up to speed with who you are. Because the more up to speed you remain with who you are, then the less resistance is within you and the more joyous your experience is. So as we're visiting, sometimes people are they've fallen out of that airplane. They have no parachute. They're in that place where they don't know what to do. And it's a simple thing. If we can talk to them vibrationally, we can help them get to where they want to be. Sometimes people are in the process of making their transition because that's where they want to be. Sometimes they're in the process of recovery because that's where they want to be. It's an individual thing. But each of you has to figure that out for yourself. And the only way you can figure it out is by the emotions that you individually feel. And that's why we were making the distinction between so many humans who are, after the manifestation, just sorting out piles of manifestation in a sort of evaluating process. And we don't want you to pigeonhole and catalog reality. We want you to create reality. We don't want you to measure it and compare it so much. You've been doing that. You've been doing enough of that to keep yourselves now busy with 20 or 30 lifetimes of manifestations. Talk about your core grid. In other words, there's so much point of attraction ready for you. You've just got to find some way to find resonance with it. And it's not complicated. And all of these words sort of make it not sound like it's not complicated. These words sort of make it sound like it's more complicated. But if we could just say to you, find a happy thought and fixate on it, which would cause you to choose that disc, and everything you want would then flow to you and you to it, that's the end of the seminar, you see. That's it. Be happy.
Thank you.
And then you say, well, I want to be happy, but I don't know how to be happy. And we say, well, stop saying that. And you say, okay, but help me be happy, and then I'll stop saying it. And we say, well, you have to find a way to be happy. And I can't find a way. Then find a way to be less miserable. Find a way to be less miserable. Sort of work your way up the emotional scale if you want to. But there is an easier way than working your way up the emotional scale, and that is go to bed and break the evil spell. And then when you wake up in the morning, try just a little bit to choose a high, good feeling disc, and then watch what happens. And before long, you will trust the law of attraction. But more important, you will trust your ability to focus yourself into the vibrational frequency, which will allow law of attraction to bring you what you want, to bring you who you are, to bring you the results of the lifetimes that you have lived and the amassing of becoming who you really are that you have accomplished. We can't even begin to describe who you are. You are genius creators who have come forth into this leading edge time-space reality with the express purpose of mixing it up in perfect vibrational contrast and variety, for the express purpose of launching rockets of desires for the expansion and the evolution of all that is, understanding that you have guidance within you that makes it possible for you as you are moving through this variety to find resonance with the furthest, most expanded beingness that you have allowed yourself to become. You knew it was possible to live happily ever after. You knew that it was. Most of you live happily and not so happily, and happily and not so happily, and happily and not so happily. But that's the step 1, step 2, step 3 process. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
What is the core grid? I mean, the word grid doesn't resonate with me, but
we know it's
attractive.
The reason that we use the word grid is because we are wanting to find a way of amplifying for you your understanding that you do have a point of attraction. But most people don't want to think about their point of attraction until it's fleshed in with the details that they want. The details that they want to see and hear and smell and taste and touch. So we were attempting to help you feel a framework of something that is going to fill in. So you're standing in this framework that will fill in to the degree that you allow it based upon the vibration that you choose. That's the whole point of it. Now we're speaking more of these spinning grid discs. In other words, the vortex is the vibrational version that has not yet been realized in material terms by you, hasn't manifested or actualized. But the grid is what you are allowing to materialize. It's your point of attraction.
What is the core grid? Do we come in with a grid?
Yeah, one of well-being and eagerness and understanding of expansion. You come with the core grid is a triad of freedom, growth, and joy. And so free you can choose bondage, growth never ending because the expansion is inevitable, and joy is the piece that we are wanting to amplify, because when you care about that, then that is your core grid: freedom, growth, and joy, and a complete understanding and expectation of it.